So I wanted to make a video discussing the traction bars that you can buy for a full-size pickup or any other vehicle that would have leaf springs in the rear end that's rear-wheel drive. So I was interested in getting a set of these traction bars that most people put on their trucks, and I looked into it, and what I noticed is there was basically two designs. One design was really common, which is a straight bar that attached to the frame at some point and then attaches to your rear axle, and the idea behind it is to prevent the tire from rotating and binding the U-joints and drive shaft under load. So basically what happens is the tire rotates and twists the axle up towards the frame. So what some people may do is they may buy the traction bars, but just for conversation, we can demonstrate the articulation of the suspension from the factory. So typically there's going to be a shackle right here, and then in the front of the leaf spring is fixed, and then the U-bolt attaches the axle to the actual spring to the actual frame. So if we go ahead and just manually articulate the suspension, we can kind of see that it kind of follows a strange pattern. There's kind of two things going on. One, the springs kind of want to collapse, so if we force it straight in, and then the shackle will allow some deflection in the suspension, so it moves kind of down and in. So it's not perfectly perpendicular that it moves. It kind of moves up and back at the same time. So even though the center line right here should be fixed, because of how the spring articulates, it actually moves closer towards the back under articulation. And that's not really the big problem that we're trying to solve here. The problem we're trying to solve is how do we get the drive shaft from preventing it from changing the angle. So this little rig I built kind of helps demonstrate why the traction bars most people sell are not really the best solution for you, because it actually limits the amount of travel that your suspension can have, based on that once you fix the axle to a solid point in the frame but don't leave any room for deflection, you end up having a suspension bind-up situation, which you definitely don't want your suspension to bind up, and all that load's got to go somewhere, so it ends up going into the traction bar, into the frame. So let me show you. So again, if we just rotate here, we have pretty much a free range of movement. Mind you, the leaf springs flex in real life, but it's made out of paper, so we can almost get to like 1. Okay, and now let's add our traction bar in, which is nothing more than a paper clip that I bent into shape. So we're going to get that into here. Come on, there we go. And then we can shackle it here. Sweet. Now I know this is not a realistic mounting point for a traction bar, but it's the longest paperclip I have, and for demonstration it does exactly what I need it to do. So now that we have a fixed point here, which is non-flexible, it's a rigid bar that maintains the